For our opening sequence, we immediately go against conventions as we take the viewer straight into the action from the very start of the film instead of a slow build-up. We wanted to go against conventions for this as it makes our film stand out from others and also gives a more powerful effect for the antagonist as he tries to chase after his victim from the very start of the film. We also decided not to use an establishing shot from the beginning of our film as we wanted to create this feeling of confusion and panic for the audience, which is reflected from our victim. Instead, we use shots of the victim's feet running, point of view shots and low angle shots, which deliberately don't give too much detail about the location as we wanted to show how lost the victim was, that she had no idea where she was running, only that she was being chased and needed to escape. We also used a tilted angle shot to further add to the confusion and really reflect the emotions to the audience. The sound that we use for the first scene is rhythmic music. This is used to reflect the pace of the scene and furthermore add to the sense of panic to the audience as everything is happening so quickly, which is also shown by the use of fast-paced editing. Towards the end of the first scene, we have a mid-shot of our victim who believes that she's finally escaped from what she's being chased by and then suddenly grabbed by an unknown person, which immediately fades black. We decided to do this as it introduces the antagonist as being a dominant figure due to the fact that he can easily capture the victim with little effort, which also reflects the weakness of our victim and adds to the stereotype of both genders. We also ended with a sudden fade to black which wanted to create the fear of the unknown, as the audience understands that the victim will not know where she's going to wake up, or if she'll wake up at all. The second scene starts with the victim waking up, which is done by the use of fade to black for each shot for the editing, and also makes sure that the camera was deliberately out of focus, which adds the sense of unknown and that it is unclear where she is, which creates a feeling of confusion and panic. We then use a number of point of view shots, like our victim looking down to see that she has been tied down to the table with plastic sheets. The point of view shot is used to really bring the viewer into the scene and make them feel as if they are there themselves, which amplifies the emotions of the shot. The next point of view shot is of the antagonist peering over the victim's face. This is a vitally important shot as it is the first shot that the audience gets introduced to the antagonist. We get to see his face in a surprising way. We begin to see the antagonist has well-groomed hair with scars across his face. This mise-en-scene was used to speculate that the antagonist has been attacked presumably by his previous victim. We also use lighting to our advantage in this scene. The victim wakes up with bright lights in her face which are so powerful it makes it difficult to see anything else. These lights also help add emphasis on the victim in the operating table to show the vulnerability and that she cannot escape. We then continue to use a panning shot of the equipment table to show all the props used on the victim. We start off with pills, which gives the audience an idea that the victim has been drugged and explains the facial expressions of the character. The panning then continues onto the items that the antagonist will be wearing, such as goggles and gloves, and then finally shows a shot of some scalpels, which indicates that the victim is going to be killed by these tools. The iconography in this shot is also very important. We start to get a feel that the story is more based on a surgeon-based character, which is then amplified by the antagonist putting his mask and glasses on. This goes very well with the conventions of a crime thriller because while doing research we noticed that the villains in these films often appear normal at first, for example a surgeon, and then turn out to be a serial killer, which brings a message to the audience that anyone could be a villain and puts them on edge. We decided then to use a panning shot which shows the victim from bottom to top. This also allowed us to have a slow build-up of the shot at the antagonist slowly holding the knife towards the victim's neck. This creates a slow tension for the viewer, which is what we were trying to convey. We wanted to show a sense of suspense for the audience and make them question if she will escape. We also used iconography of the blood spatter and pool of blood created from her hand, which gave a message of that her life was slowly fading away. We then close our opening sequence with a long take of the blood pool on the floor, which gives the audience more time to realise what has just happened and create more of a tension in the scene. Try to also use sound to the best of our ability in the second scene as well. We then close our opening sequence with a long take of blood pool on the floor, which gives the audience more time to realise what has just happened and create more tension in the scene. We try to use sound to the best of our ability in the second scene as well. We start off with parallel sound of dissonant noise getting louder and louder, which adds a build-up of suspense to the viewer. We then added a beating sound which simulates the victim's heartbeat. It started off fairly calm to begin with, but then gets faster and faster the more panicked the victim gets. This also reflects onto the viewer as they begin to feel pity for her. This is often a technique used in real media projects as they try to create an atmosphere in their scenes and really try to reflect the emotions of the character must be feeling as it brings the audience into the scene. Throughout the opening sequence we have challenged the conventions of a normal storyline and tried to create as much panic in the scene as possible, as it creates more of an attention-grabbing movie which makes viewers want to continue watching. But we try to stick to the typical stereotypes of the characters for the opening sequence, as this helps create more tension within the extract. If the teenage girl is projected as sweet and innocent, it creates more of a dramatic and powerful effect on the scene when she gets killed by our antagonist.